Franz Liszt was born in 1811 in Ratingen, Hungary. He grew up in a modest and stable household. His father, Adam Liszt, worked as an estate administrator for the Esterhazy family and was an amateur musician, while his mother, Anna Maria, had worked as a domestic servant before their marriage. He was an only child. His father introduced him to the piano at an early age. The boy's talent was astonishing. By the age of 9, he could already play works by Haydn, Mozart, and Beethoven. But he was not only a performer. Even as a child, Liszt began composing. Around the age of 8 or 9, he was already improvising and writing small pieces. By 11 or 12, he was composing more structured works, and at just 13, in 1824, his opera Don Sanchez, or Le Château d'Amour, was performed in Paris. It was clear that his gifts extended far beyond the keyboard. Very quickly, it became obvious that this was no ordinary child. Fact number 1. Franz Liszt was a child prodigy who conquered Europe. In 1820, at the age of 9, his father took him to Vienna to study with Carl Czerny, a former student of Beethoven, and with Antonio Salieri. With his teachers, Liszt refined his technique and deepened his understanding of composition. Czerny was deeply impressed and later said that Liszt was the most talented student I ever had. In 1822, when Liszt was just 11 years old, he gave a concert in Vienna that was attended by Ludwig van Beethoven. Beethoven was so moved by the boy's performance that he came on stage and kissed him on the forehead, a gesture remembered as a blessing from one musical giant to another. In 1823, father and son moved to Paris, convinced that it was the cultural capital of Europe and the perfect place to launch an international career. During this romantic period, Paris offered prestigious teachers, wealthy patrons, and unmatched artistic visibility. Liszt applied to the Paris Conservatoire but was refused. At the time, the institution had a strict rule admitting only French citizens. Because Liszt was Hungarian, he was rejected. Ironically, after the July Revolution of 1830, the rules were gradually relaxed and foreign students began to be admitted, just a few years too late for him. It could have ended his career before it truly began. Instead, it did the opposite. His father immediately found him outstanding private teachers, including Anton Reicha and Ferdinando Payer, who refined his musical education. Even more importantly, his new teachers introduced him into the aristocratic salons of Paris. There, the young Liszt performed before nobles, writers, and artists, and he became popular very quickly. Between the ages of 11 and 16, he gave concerts all over Europe. Audiences were amazed by his brilliance and confidence. His father acted as his manager, carefully organizing tours, securing prestigious venues, promoting his son's talent, and managing every aspect of his career with remarkable skill and success. Liszt was no longer just a gifted pianist. He was becoming a European phenomenon. He also had a remarkable physical advantage, the extraordinary size and flexibility of his hands. He could reportedly span a 12th on the keyboard, allowing him to play massive chords and dramatic leaps that most pianists simply could not reach, further enhancing his legendary virtuosity. But in 1827, tragedy struck. His father died suddenly. Liszt, only 16, settled in Paris with his mother. To support them, he intensified both his teaching and his composing, developing a deeper and more personal musical voice. During this time, he fell in love with one of his students, Caroline de Saint-Cricq. However, her aristocratic family refused to allow the marriage. Heartbroken, Liszt withdrew from society for nearly 2 years, locked himself in a monastery near Paris, turning to prayer and reflection. Then came the July Revolution of 1830 in Paris. The political upheaval shook him out of his despair. He returned to social life and began frequenting the same salons as Chopin, Berlioz, Mendelssohn, and Wagner. Liszt was then 20 years old and made many musician friends. In 1832, he attended a concert by the violinist Niccolò Paganini. Paganini's astonishing virtuosity was a revelation. Liszt left the concert, determined to become for the piano what Paganini was for the violin, a true virtuoso. He practiced obsessively, transforming his technique and pushing the limits of the instrument. For months, he practiced for many hours every single day. He repeated difficult passages again and again, made his fingers stronger, and tried to play faster, louder, and more brilliantly than ever before. He even adapted Paganini's violin music for the piano so he could recreate the same magical effects on the keyboard. Step by step, through hard work and determination, he became the greatest piano virtuoso of his time. Fact number 2. Franz Liszt was the very first international superstar in the history of music. In 1835, Liszt met Countess Marie de Gueux. They left Paris and lived together in Switzerland and later in Italy for about 5 years. They had 3 children, Blandine, Daniel, and Cosima, who would later marry Richard Wagner. These years deeply inspired him. He composed works influenced by landscapes, poetry, and art. His music grew richer, more poetic, and more daring. From 1839 to 1848, he returned to the concert stage and toured throughout Europe. What followed was unprecedented. His fame reached extraordinary heights. Audiences fainted. Crowds fought over autographs. Some young women even fought over his gloves to keep them as precious treasures, and he received mountains of passionate fan letters. This phenomenon later became known as Lisztomania. He reinvented the piano recital, performing alone on stage and positioning the instrument so audiences could clearly see him. No musician had ever achieved such celebrity. At the same time, he expanded his creative ambitions. He composed 2 piano concertos, orchestral works, and created the symphonic poem, a new type of orchestral piece inspired by literature and ideas. One of his most famous piano pieces, Liebestraum, was composed in 1850. The title means Dream of Love. It was inspired by a poem about deep, unconditional love, a love that must be cherished while it lasts. In this piece, Liszt wanted to express tenderness, passion, longing, and also a sense of fragile beauty. The melody sings like a human voice, rising gently before bursting into waves of emotion. Even today, Liebestraum remains one of the most played and beloved piano works in the world, admired for both its beauty and its expressive power. Fact number 3. Beyond his fame, Franz Liszt had many careers. He was a concert pianist, a composer, a teacher, an orchestra conductor, and even a priest. By 1848, exhausted from touring, Liszt settled in Weimar as teacher and orchestra conductor. There, with his new companion, the Princess Caroline Sayn-Wittgenstein, he turned the city into a major musical center, conducted his works, supported composers like Wagner and Berlioz, and became an influential teacher. After leaving Weimar, Liszt spent nearly 10 years in Rome. He studied theology and, in 1865, became a priest and was called afterwards Abbé Liszt. Yet he never stopped creating. He continued traveling between Rome, Weimar, and Budapest. He composed sacred works, late experimental piano pieces, and continued teaching and conducting until his death. Liszt composed more than 1,000 works, including the Sonata in B minor, the Hungarian Rhapsodies, 2 piano concertos, symphonic poems, sacred music, songs, and orchestral works. He transformed piano technique, redefined the concert experience, and expanded the expressive possibilities of Romantic music. He died on July 31, 1886, in Bayreuth, Germany, at the age of 74, after falling ill during the Bayreuth Festival. Everybody remembered him as a revolutionary genius of the Romantic period. He was celebrated not only for his dazzling virtuosity, but also for his generosity, his visionary spirit, and his lasting influence on generations of musicians. Remember, from a gifted child to the first true superstar of Romantic music, from revolutionary composer to visionary master and abbé, Franz Liszt's life was full of success and beauty. And this is how one extraordinary musician changed the history of music forever. If you liked this video, do not forget to sign up to our channel to discover more fascinating stories of musicians.